I got a gig app side hustle for you that pays up to $26 an hour. Is there a catch? You bet. But here's the thing. This can also be more predictable and reliable pay than other gig apps in this side hustle economy. Let's take a look here. This is Veho. Drive with Veho, the better gig experience. Choose your routes. Routed deliveries here. Pay attention to this. Timing, earnings. Let's compare Veho to, of course, delivery platforms and side hustles, yes, but specifically that Amazon Flex platform, because I mentioned the routed deliveries here. That's where Veho stands out for you, and that's where also the predictable pay comes from. It's because instead of doing one-off deliveries and then you're wondering, sitting there waiting, send me something, another delivery request, if you sign up for a routed delivery, you have a predictable pay for 2 hours or however long that route is. But of course, just like Amazon Flex, there's certainly some pros and cons here. So here's how to qualify. Individuals must be 25 years of age or older to drive on the Veho platform. Compare that to just 21 years of age on Amazon Flex. And then what you'd expect, have a valid driver's license and vehicle insurance, but have access to a large sedan or SUV to complete routes. Now compare that to Amazon Flex, where yes, you need a certain size vehicle to qualify for Flex. Flex says have a mid-sized or larger vehicle and insurance. For most deliveries, you'll need a mid-size or larger vehicle, such as a 4-door sedan, SUV, van, or truck with a covered bed. And actually, it's the same thing here with Veho. So they say we recommend having a large sedan or bigger because some of these smaller sedans, compacts, whatever, will not fit the required amount of packages. Continuing, pickup trucks must have hardcovers for their truck beds. Well, speaking of, how big are the packages I'm going to be delivering? Because I don't want to lug like 60 pounds up the stairs of an apartment complex that their elevator's broken, and I got to do this stuff for not a lot of pay. How big are packages? They range in size from small padded mailers to medium-sized boxes, and in some cases, irregularly shaped packages. Packages vary in weight and can weigh 40 plus pounds. As someone who recently signed up for Veho here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, subscribe to follow that closely here. All I do is help you make money in different side hustles. I would imagine you don't get a ton of super heavy deliveries. This is not like LTL or less than truckload, pallet, larger deliveries as is advertised on Dolly, Bungie, and some of these other platforms. But remember the routed deliveries here and the pay. So I'm going to sign up for a route on Veho. It's the same thing as you do with warehouse runs at Amazon Flex. Amazon Flex does have like one-off deliveries. They call it instant offers here, but let's focus on the main thing that both of those apps do, which is routed deliveries. So with Veho, book your route in advance, which is nice. That also goes into your time predictability. So I know, and it's the same thing with Flex. I have the shift scheduled tomorrow at 4, so I have my day partly planned already. But even this, the pickup process is almost exactly like Amazon Flex. So I'm gonna go to a warehouse on your selected day, swing by the Veho warehouse to pick up your packages for your route. I'm gonna bring my driver's license, I'm gonna follow the associates where they direct me, I'm gonna park, and they're gonna bring out the same thing as Flex, a rack of packages and envelopes that are gonna be on my assigned route. So I scan all my packages on Veho, and they recommend bringing a marker just to mark the stop number on the box. And it's actually good that they recommend that, because I've recommended that for you on Amazon Flex, because then you have all your stops for all the boxes, and then I'm going to load the first stop last and then the last stop first, so it's deepest in my trunk and the first stops are right in front of me. But let's just assume the boxes, the size, the effort, the stops per hour, all that stuff is pretty comparable. Like using the apps, using the driver apps are pretty comparable, easy enough here. Then it would just come down to the pay, right? Like, who pays me more? Should I take the Veho route or the Amazon Flex route? Regarding pay, Veho says, on average, Veho drivers in your area earn $20 to $26 an hour. Keep that number in mind, $20 to $26 an hour. How do you feel about that? Comment down below. Because Amazon Flex says most drivers earn $18 to $25 per hour delivering with Amazon Flex. Of course, actual earnings will vary. anecdotally here in Pittsburgh, the shifts that I've seen on Amazon Flex, remember, I just signed up for Veho, and I'll show you the locations as well because there's one consideration with that as well. But on Amazon Flex, I'm seeing a minimum of, yes, $18 an hour. And then if those shifts go unclaimed, it's getting closer and closer to that start time. I see $20, $22 an hour. And both of them, it says $18 to $25 per hour. You're not actually paid per hour. Veho says down here in the fine print, driver partners are paid for the successful completion of the route, not by hour, even though literally just above it, it says $20 to $26 an hour. So how can they say that? And how can Amazon Flex say the same thing when you're not somehow paid by hour? Let me show you a route example that Veho provided here that, yes, you see the total expected pay here. You see the time, you see the size of the vehicle required, you see the quoted shift hours as well. And yes, you can break it down by hour. Say, hey, I'm doing $110 for 5 hours. I can break that down to X amount of dollars per hour. Same thing on Flex though. They'll say, okay, you're making $72 for X amount of hours on the shift. You'll say, okay, cool. That's like $20 some an hour, but you're not going to get paid that, like Veho says, until you actually complete that route. That is one consideration of any routed deliveries. Uber Eats even has some routed deliveries. Walmart Spark has routed deliveries. Roadie has routed. Amazon Flex, as I'm discussing here. And of course, Veho, they have routed deliveries, which is great for predictable pay, but you're locked in there. If something happens to your vehicle, personal emergency, and hey, you can take it up with support, see if they pay you at least partial payment, but you're gonna have these packages. You gotta complete the route and then you get paid. There's no real multi-apping, driving on different apps at the same time with routed deliveries. You're locked in there. And on one hand, again, you have the benefit of predictable pay for those hours, however you want to call it, but no multi-apping. And like Amazon Flex, you might not be able to get tips. So literally you're locked in there, which can be a good or bad thing. You're locked in there for that pay, for that route, for that day. At the time of filming this video, here's the locations, 42 plus cities on the Veho platform. What do you think of Veho, and is it better than Amazon Flex? My only concern, as I just mentioned in a recent video, with these kind of mid-size, smaller platforms, whatever you want to call it, are there enough routes versus the drivers that they sign up on these platforms here? Is the pay going to actually be what we see on these websites, or are you going to get the lower end of that? But here's the thing, I mean, just multi-app in a sense and compare with the other routed platforms that I mentioned here on the channel, because if you see $18 an hour, $19 obviously on Veho, and you see similar also for the mileage on Amazon Flex, it makes more sense. Obviously, just take Amazon Flex. But if you don't like Veho, and or if it's not in your marketplace, I'll leave another suggestion down below in the description and the pinned comment. Let me know what you think about this. And again, stay tuned because I didn't see it listed in the scheduling websites here in Pittsburgh, but when and if I see a shift here in Pittsburgh, I'm going to jump all over it so we can see how's the pay.